and welcome back to Season 5 of ComicBook Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture and the official podcast of comicbook.com. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw, and in the studio, back with me today after a long absence, Janelle Wheeler's here.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here, even though it was very chaotic getting here.
It's a chaotic kind of day.
Yes.
As you can see, we gained one, we lost two. We have two at home today. Matthew Aguilar, he was a little bit under the weather.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah.
And Connor Casey's with us again after a long absence, slightly AWOL, also at home. All right.
What's up, guys?
So, we have a lot to do today. As always, this is the show that does it all for geek culture. And, it's kind of an interesting pause for us right now because our lives and jobs are about to get real hectic. We're about to get into the summer movie season, and this is the one where Hollywood's kind of blowing its load after all the COVID backstop. We're finally getting a whole deluge of movies and TV shows, and you better enjoy it because it might be the last you get before this writer strike keeps us dry and acrid for the next couple years. So enjoy this summer while you have it, but there's a lot to go through. So we are going to break down, instead of like doing one of those boring, like, here's everything that's coming, we decided, let's talk about the stuff we're hyped for. I like to keep it loose sometimes. We don't have anything like really official. Our Guardians talk, we're all recovering from that and emotionally and stuff, or some of us have yet to experience it. So let's just have a nice discussion about what we're excited for the summer. In addition to our summer movie and TV preview this week, because I like to give you guys kind of the timestamp rundown, it's about 15 minutes per segment. We're also going to get our official review of The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, the new highly anticipated Zelda game coming to Nintendo Switch. We gave you guys a playthrough preview a couple weeks ago. Now we have the official review. Matt and Connor have some wrestling they have to talk about. There's big things happening over at AEW and some other places, I believe. So we have some wrestling we got to get to. We're going to talk about a new show that also happens to be helping us put on this show, so we're going to talk about that. And we have some big comics news and big comic reviews for the week, some important number ones, and some news that just kind of dropped this morning that we got to get to. So, as I said, this is a show that does it all for geek culture, and that's the order we're going to do it in. Summer preview, Zelda, wrestling, new TV show, comics. We've earned our check for going all over the place.
Let's go.
All right, so starting at the top, let's talk about what's going down this summer. Like I said, this is kind of an interesting summer because this is when we're getting out of the COVID backstop and finally getting that flood of projects that, that were held back or just delayed, for years. If it's not a sign, we're finally getting Mission Impossible 7 this summer. So that should tell you everything, right? Like, wow. Tom Cruise does not jump before it's time to jump, quite literally. And so now we're finally getting it. And that's a signal that, finally, summer movies are back. Mario's out here making $1 billion. Guardians is well on its way. It looks like, even though it might still be, I don't want to get into the minutia of all this, but even though it still looks like it might be a slight downturn in box office totals from pre-pandemic, we're starting to get back to those trends. So
feels good, man.
Yeah, it does feel good. All right, that said, enough preamble. Let's talk about what we're actually excited to see. Janelle, we haven't seen you in a while. I don't know if we can go out of order, right? Or did we have to go to the order and the rundown? I think we'll keep our producers sane, and we'll just keep it to the rundown. So I'll start. First things first, I think we'll just go around, and I guess we'll just each go give one. You guys want to do movies or TV first? Movies? Yeah, movies. I think, again, to keep our producers sane, let's just do movies first. So my whole strategy for this was, I didn't just pick what I love because I don't think like that. I also had to be in direct competition with all of you,
right,
and outthink all of you.
Yeah,
it's a versus thing, right? It's not just picking our favorite summer movies and TV projects. It's a versus thing. Mm-hmm. So my thing was to try to predict the non-predictable that I know all of you guys, like people out here just calling out Matt. They're like, I know Matt said X, Y, Z, 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 4.
I know.
And it's just like
it was hard. I think we're all kind of aligned.
I don't think so. I think we actually managed to get some good variety in this.
Well,
I hope unless our image for this episode is completely lying, I think we got some good variety in this. So I picked things that I thought really would embody two kinds of things. This is for my TV picks and my movie picks. First, big blockbusters that actually, deserve to get us out into the theater.
Mhm.
And second, just kind of movies that are just cheesy, good, fun, enjoyable, like B movies. I think B movies are underrated.
Yeah.
They make us go out, you pay a matinee price, you have a great time, and they tend to be some of the movies we rewatch the most.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say that my biggest movie that I am anticipating this summer, I already spoiled it for you guys if you were paying attention. It's Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Mission Impossible 7. Yeah, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise got us back in the theater, and I mean, say what you will about what's happened post-pandemic, but you know, Top Gun Maverick was that movie that really was the milestone where I feel like people went back out to the theater in mass, and all kind of like pretty much across the board came away feeling really good about movies and in that classic kind of movie magic way. I'm hoping that Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is going to do the same for us. Also, this has been probably one of the I've done this now for like 15 years. I've been doing this, like following these movies for years on end in pre-production and casting and all the way to release. And this has been one of the craziest ones to cover by far. Yeah. Because if you guys really want to remember, it's been like 2 or 3 years that we've been like writing about Tom Cruise jumping off cliffs on a motorcycle, doing all kinds of wild ish over here, losing his mind on the set and being like, this movie is going to save movies or we're all going to die together. And like during COVID, like it has been like, it's been a roller coaster. I think there might even be some stuff on a roller coaster in this movie. It's been nuts. So the trailers have looked good. This is kind of the beginning of the end of the Mission Impossible saga. And in a summer where we're getting the beginning of the end of the Fast saga and the beginning of the end of the Mission Impossible saga, I'm way more excited for this one.
I agree.
There's been all kinds of fun things we've heard about this movie. There's a lot of casting of people who are coming back from the past Mission Impossible all the way back to the first one. They're bringing back the guy who was in the vault working the computer when Tom Cruise dropped from the ceiling to steal the knock list from Langley. Like, that guy's coming back.
Amazing.
This seems like, as far as we talked about Citadel on Amazon a couple weeks ago, and we were all talking about why we uniquely apparently love or just enjoy that show right now. There's not enough spy action espionage stuff. And this looks like it's going to be the father of all spy action espionage movies. And I'm here for it. So for me, my most hyped movie is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Do we do both? Should we just say we're all
right, we can move this along. We're just doing this informally. Let's just move it along. My second movie is The Meg 2. Why? Yeah, come at me. Come at me. The Meg 2, The Trench. Like I said, I want big blockbuster movies that make us love going to the theater, and I also want that nacho cheese. I need my good B movie kind of going out, seeing something stupid, popcorn flick. And if you didn't see the first Meg, first of all, what are you doing with your life, baby? Go see the first Meg. It's really good.
It's on TNT like every week.
Yeah,
how can you miss it?
It's on TNT. It's on various, I think it's on either Hulu or Netflix right now. You can stream it. Like, I just rewatched it, and it's still good. It is this generation's Deep Blue Sea, and if you know, you know. Like, it's great, and it's Jason Statham doing his Jason Statham bestest, and international cast. And this one looks even dumber, cheesier, and wilder. And I was all here for it. And if you don't believe the hype is real, the Meg had a pretty good trailer launch this week. People were feeling the Meg. You know, it was trending. So that's my other thing. I want a good cheesy B movie flick, a good blockbuster flick, and I think those two are going to deliver both for me.
I love that. I think those are both like spectacular picks. I'm kind of starting to like regret mine because I think what I'm doing is representing like super mainstream with my choices. So I'll just get to them. I'm next, right? So I think I can't see everybody's choices in front of me right now, but I think that we kind of aligned a couple of us. So I don't want to go too heavy into my first pick because I think somebody else is going to cover that. But obviously, I think I'm my most excited is Into the Spider-Verse. This is something Across the Spider-Verse. Jeez, get your titles right. This has been kind of like a life-changing animated film moment for me in the previous. And you guys know I complain about it all the time. I don't watch anime. I'm not into animation as much. Obviously, comic books that's different, but this has been such an exploration for me with animated film that also feels so much like a comic book. That it's irresistible. It was so emotional. The music was fire. Like everything about it was just spectacular. The first one. So I have really high expectations for this. I also did not get to see the first one in the theater. So being able to see this one in an actual movie theater is going to be a really big deal for me.
A lot of people did miss the first one in theaters, and it is such a game changer to see visually what they did. I mean, you could see like the little dots
pixelations.
Pixelation
Oh my
of the
gosh.
comic book style stuff in their faces. It was insane.
Was it in 3D?
Oh yeah. It was
okay.
in
3D IMAX, like the whole thing.
It was one of the best 3D movies I've seen.
That's what I want to like experience. So that is truly my number one most exciting pick. And I'm sure you guys have other reasons for picking that, but that is why for me, I'm just so excited to be totally into an animated film. And then my second pick, I feel like this is kind of a no-brainer. I feel really silly that I'm leaning into this because I am rocking this platinum hair right now, and I can't wait to see Barbie. Like I grew up on Barbie, and as I get older, I'm kind of very nostalgic for my childhood things that really got me excited. So Barbie in general, I don't really know what it's about. They haven't alluded to much of the storyline. So I'm so curious. Like, I just want to know what the story is, how they're going to make this a film, like play out start to finish. I love the casting. Margot Robbie is one of my favorites. And she truly is Barbie. Since the first time she came on the scene, I was like, that girl's Barbie. Like, she is so gorgeous. She is Barbie. And that was way before she got casted for Barbie. So I have really high expectations for her in that role. It'll be nice to see her out of, like, it's just something totally different. I feel like it's going to be cheesy and cute, but from my side. And if they don't use "I'm a Barbie Girl" like in the actual soundtrack, I'm gonna
like that's
fight
a
someone.
given. That's like the
that's gotta
song.
happen.
They have to.
That's got to happen in some form or fashion.
So
I hope somebody's doing it like in universe karaoke or something like that. So Barbies are singing it.
That would be amazing.
See, this is how I had to outthink. Those were two of my early picks, and I was like, I know. Although I thought those would be like Matt's picks. Funny enough, I was like, on my dartboard, I was like, those are Matt's going to be Matt's picks.
I feel like with the TV shows, there's so many more options. We can get a little more funky with it. But like the big blockbusters for the summer, I think everybody's kind of excited about the same handful. So I commend you for like shaking it up a little bit.
Thank you. I love positive support. Matt, buddy, let's hear, what did you pick? I'm very curious.
Oh, it's me. Connor's next in the thing. I didn't know if it was me. Is it me next?
Yeah. To us, you're the top square to us, buddy.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Number one square, L7.
So one of my picks I have to immediately kick out because when I was doing this list, I totally missed the summer part. So that one doesn't come out till later in the year. So I'm Xing one off the list already. So the one pick I had though that fits in the thing is easy. It's Rise of the Beast. It's Transformers. I am so jazzed about that. I've been waiting for Beast Wars to be on the big screen for so long. So like I'm hyped. Like I cannot wait for that movie. I will say if I had to pick another movie, Barbie was next on my list actually. So I'm very excited for that. I think that's going to be just so fun, ridiculous. I have no idea what it is, but that's part of what excites me about it. So yeah, I think those are my
Matt. I'm planning on decking myself fully out in like Barbie gear and going like as Barbie to go see Barbie. I thought you would appreciate that.
Yes, I definitely appreciate. Go all out.
Cosplay Barbie.
I will also be decked out as a Transformer.
Yes.
I want to believe in Rise of the Beast, but every time I bring it up, the world won't let me be helpful or believe because every time I bring it up, people are like, they're making another Transformers movie? What is this one, like the 7th? And I'm like, please don't ruin this before we get it.
No.
This one has a gorilla.
It looks so fun. It looks so fun.
It looks so fun. It's got Unicron. Like, we're getting something. We're finally here. Like,
I
feel like people are ruining this one for me. They're going to be like,
even if this doesn't continue, like at this point, I really don't necessarily care about like an extended universe or things like that. Like if this one ends up like not doing well at the box office and it's just a movie that hits all the spots for me, I'm okay. Like I'm not like I don't need, I just wanted to see. There was a part of me that always wanted to see this movie. I wanted to see this become real life. Like this is the kind of things that we talk about when years and years ago now we talked about comics. And this was the first thing, like, oh my God, we get to see these characters on the big screen. Now that doesn't necessarily suffice anymore. It has to be more. But there was a point in time where just seeing them and like being legitimately created on the screen and like taken seriously and stuff was enough. And for me, these Beast Wars characters, that's enough for me. So it doesn't have to, steer the ship and the right direction. I don't care about any of that. That's not my job. All I care about is seeing a movie that's fun and awesome, and these characters just look so cool. So I'm in.
Man, I was going to say Paramount should hire you to do PR for this movie, but I just realized they already are. So boom. All right. Job well done. Utilizing those
awesome.
Paramount resources. All right. Connor, last but certainly not least, Mr. Connor Casey, what are your top 2 movie picks you are hyped for this summer?
So I had a bunch of different TV picks. So for the movies, I kept it simple, and I'm going with Across the Spider-Verse for a lot of the same reasons Janelle listed. Some of y'all may remember 2018. I know it feels like it was 25 years ago instead of just 5, but that was some good eating if you were a Spider-Man fan at the time, because you had this movie, you had Tom Holland delivering the knockout line of Avengers Infinity War, and you had the PlayStation 4 game. That was a great year to be a Spider-Man fan. And I feel like 2023 is the sequel, because not only do we get this, but we're finally getting Spider-Man 2 on the PS5. Lot to be excited about with the production of this film. I know we don't tend to talk about like animated directors when it's not Pixar, but Joaquin Dos Santos has an awesome pedigree, and he's attached to this one. You've got obviously Phil Lord, but Chris Miller is actually getting a writing credit this time, and when those two are together, it's always magic. I like that they're diving further into the whole multiversal aspect of it. We're getting a bunch of different art styles on top of what we already had. There's just a ton of reasons to be excited about this. I can't wait for the soundtrack, because I listened to that first soundtrack for a full year straight, and I still hear Sunflower on the radio every now and then. So I can't wait for this thing to basically take over music for a few months too.
Yeah, my son says he calls that song the Spider-Man, the Miles Morales song every time.
Exactly. Because it is, but no, that the movie looks incredible. I love that it's the first half of a 2-parter. They're taking a big swing with this as opposed to just repeating what happened in the first one. So yeah, that it's Spider-Verse all the way.
All right. So that was everybody's picks for movies. I'm surprised. There are some funny things I think we didn't say that are surprised. I was shocked that Matt, you didn't go with the Marvels or Blue Beetle?
Because Marvels was the one I had to cross off my list. That doesn't hit till November. You said
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I forgot all about
I was going to actually pick Blue Beetle, but I thought for sure one of you would have picked Blue Beetle.
So I kicked off Blue Beetle to make room for Marvels, because Rise of the Beast was coming. And then as we start to do this rundown, I went, oh, crap. It's November. And so then I went, well, so then like I'm like, well, all right, because like there's also a thing in the comments of like TMNT was also on my list of like possibles. So like Marvel threw everything off for me. But yes, that was my pick. But I can't pick a November movie for the summer.
I tried to pick Barbie to be safe, so I wasn't stepping on anybody's toes.
But yes, Marvels was the other one.
We are such a crack team. You and I both just went right for, the Marvels is still a summer movie.
Love it.
Very much not.
I actually had to look that up. I was with you, Matt. I was like, summer.
Yeah. We went through too many. State changes. I don't hold it against.
I will say with TV shows, I was actually way more excited for spring shows that like we're currently in right now, compared to some of these summer releases.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, flubbing that line can get crazy too, but appreciate your honesty. But just to address some things, yes, I think TMNT Mutant Mayhem looks great. I think it just is coming out in the summer where we're also getting Across the Spider-Verse, and they're very similar in style. And so I think one's going to eat the other's lunch, and that's not necessarily fair, but them's the movie biz, and that's the way it usually works. See Stir of Echoes and a whole bunch of other stuff that came in the wake of other very more popular movies like The Sixth Sense. So
Plus,
just happens that way.
we've had animated TMT movies before that nobody
Yeah.
talks about anymore. So there's no guarantee on this one.
And the other thing I would have said honorable mention is I am more and more curious about what Christopher Nolan has done with Oppenheimer, which isn't like a weird summer blockbuster about the pressures of science. But, you know, I started reading about theories that this is actually like Nolan's whole kind of self-referencing breakdown of his whole career and what he did to the movie business through Batman and all that stuff. And I'm kind of curious to see if it works on that level. So Oppenheimer, I am curious to see, and I want to see that on the big screen just to see how you make a movie out of that. But okay, let's jump on over and not waste too much time. TV shows.
Yeah.
Hyped for, and this is, like you said, this is a much bigger playground, right?
Right.
Because TV has come up big. And so a lot of stuff to be hyped for in the summer. I'm going to go with mine. Mine is real easy. The first thing I'm really hyped for is Marvel Secret Invasion. I think people have honestly kind of slept on this one. Like I said, that espionage action thing, we love it. We've been over that. And I feel like this is going to be another stylistic game changer for the MCU with the way this plays, with the cloak and dagger, no pun intended, of kind of the spies. I think there's going to be a lot that's revealed about the Skrulls and like what's going on here and what's shifted in the universe since the blip. That's going to be very crucial to the future of the MCU. And I think this one's going to keep us in the simple fun of talking and guessing and speculating week to week, which we really haven't been able to do in a while here. Like, I think what was the last thing we really all got in on together was like, what, She-Hulk or something?
Yeah.
That was like, what, almost a year ago?
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, kind of looking forward to getting the discourse and the fun back and the Ralph Boner Mephisto of it all theories and seeing where we go with this. So, looking for a Secret Invasion. Some of you are still scarred. I saw Matt's eyes do a very subtle shade thing when I said,
"Oh no, I had to cough." I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. But that Secret Invasion,
so
really looking forward to that.
Too.
That is my big appointment thing. And like I said, I'm doing this with big blockbusters and big cheese that I love. So big cheese that I love, and to throw a twist into this, my other highly anticipated TV series is Twisted Metal on Peacock.
Ooh.
Yeah, I want to see the Twisted Metal adaptation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the graphic we're getting out here.
Love
Twisted Metal
it.
on Peacock. I want to see what the hell this is all about. We saw a first teaser. The cast is crazy. You got Anthony Mackie. You got Samoa Joe in this.
Samoa Joe is Sweet Tooth. Hell yeah.
Yeah, Sweet Tooth. And I feel like, again, this could be my fun, like, this is in no way a blockbuster show. Half the people probably can't even remember Twisted Metal or what story is involved in all that. But if I get good scenes of people driving and shootout sequences and stuff, that's a novelty I haven't had on TV, really. And if they do this on a good enough scale, this could be really just fun, B genre, great entertainment. And that's all I'm looking for. And I just want to see cars go boom. So I'm a very simple man.
Who's the guy that has the like two wheels for like hands and legs? Like he's holding two wheels. There's some Twisted Metal character, isn't there, that like is a person literally with two giant wheels. And I swear that that's an image I can't ever get out of my head from one of the older
Axel
games. Is it Axel? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah, he stands in between like Atlas. It's kind of a play on Atlas. He stands between two wheels and he's like wheeling around.
Like stuff
and
like
two guns under his feet. Yeah, it's absurd.
I really hope they do that kind of ridiculous thing. Lean into it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are my two. Janelle.
All right. Well, again, I think there's going to be some overlap. So I kind of put 3 down because I'm going to do kind of like an honor. So first and foremost, clearly I'm going to torture myself this summer because my picks are all just very like sad, depressing, and scary. My first pick that I'm very excited about is Black Mirror. This is one of my favorite shows I've ever seen in my entire life. But it is so heart-wrenching and petrifying, and like it makes your brain kind of pop because there's a lot of reflection back on society and issues and things. So if you've not watched Black Mirror, I don't know what to tell you. It is like its own thing. So I'm very excited about Black Mirror, and I have no idea what to expect. I'm not sure kind of what we should be like what direction they're going to take in this. I don't know a lot about it, and that is what is very intriguing to me. So I'm very pumped about that. And then I'm also really excited about Witcher, but I have a feeling that Matt chose that. Matt, can you give me a thumbs up if you did? Okay, so I won't talk too much about it, but I love my platinum hair pals. So I'm very excited about Witcher. And so I also have to make a reference to something that's super near and dear to my heart. The reason why I even started on comic book in general was for The Walking Dead. So they're doing a spin-off series, and it's going to be with Maggie and Negan, and it's called Walking Dead Dead City. And I just
not called Walking Dead Takes Manhattan.
But it's like it's very sentimental for me. Like I feel so connected to that universe, and I always will. It was my first comic I ever read. It was the first thing that got me on this camera with my comic book fam. And I actually got to meet so many actors on the show, and Greg Nicotero and all of these, like he literally follows me on Instagram, which is one of my coolest things of life, is that Greg Nicotero follows me. So I don't really know where they're going to go. And I love that. I love that I kind of don't have a lot of information about any of the things that I'm really excited about. Like that makes me excited. I don't like to be overtold what we have on the horizon. So I'm excited, but they're all pretty heavy.
Yeah, I know, but
my lighthearted is now, like, I love Ted Lasso. It's my favorite show ever. And like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, I'm loving Grease, but I guess this is just my time of happy, and summer will be my time of upset, overthinking, anxiety.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Black Mirror, I'm really hyped to see like what Black Mirror does now, because everything that we've had happen since that series comes out is just like watching real life slowly teeter towards the Black Mirror verse, from those dancing robot dogs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy. So those are good picks. Those are really good picks, and both like not expected picks. That was good.
Good.
Walking Dead Takes Manhattan might actually get me to watch The Walking Dead again. There's some pretty crazy stuff in that trailer.
Yeah,
go check that out on Comic Book Walking Dead. Yeah. All righty, Maddie, what do you got for the small screen this summer?
Well, and before I jump into mine, I gotta say I kind of with Kofi. Like I've been checked out really of the, like, I've kept up with stuff, but I've been checked out of the Walking Dead universe really since the like
Glenn.
Well, actually, like right after, like Abraham and like all that, like those deaths and like that kind of part of that season, I kind of checked out. Like it was like a little much for me, and I'm like, I'm good. Like
you're not alone.
And I never really came back to it, even though I saw stuff that like I would keep up with stuff on recaps and whatever, but like I didn't really watch it as a devoted fan. And all those first seasons before, I did. And so I gotta say, like, I've been waiting for the Michonne Rick thing to happen in movies and stuff, and now that's like a coming out, I'm excited for that, and that was enough to get me in. And then when the Negan thing got announced, I went, oh, okay, like maybe like that sounds cool too, because I always liked Maggie, I always liked Negan as characters. So I think I'm actually like they've kind of lured me back in. I'll probably check these out because I think I've been away from it long enough to kind of have some of that, like some of that aftertaste is kind of worn. It's kind of
awesome.
But also there's like characters I care about again are going to be the focal point. So I'm excited for those. Yes, this one was an easy guess for me because number one, it's actually coming out during the summer. But Witcher season 3, parts 1 and part 2, The Witcher. Both parts. This is an anticipated season. It was an anticipated season before all the chaos that happened with casting, and now that it's going to be, Cavill's last season as Geralt and all that stuff, then that's kind of ramped up even more. But just as a fan of the show, having them all together, and even though they were kind of split apart in season 2, this season really kind of brings those main leads together in a big way. And series evolution, there's so much to get excited about. It's exciting. So I'm really stoked for this season. And then also, like many Witcher fans, probably just wondering how they're going to move it forward. How are we going to bring Hemsworth in? Like all those other questions. But for now, I'll push those aside. I'm excited for this. And then for the other, I actually tried to It's kind of borderline because it actually doesn't have an official release date yet, but it is targeted summer, fall. X-Men 97. I am hyped for this. I adore, obviously, like many fans of the X-Men, I adore the original animated series, and it will still always hold a special place in my heart. And while some of the animation doesn't hold up sometimes, the stories do. And I just am excited to return to that world. And for them to give it such a big platform and everything and really continue that universe. I'm excited. So I'm hoping, plus I love animation, so I'm always a sucker to jump back in. So yeah, that's me. I will agree with Janelle from earlier too. TV was a lot more difficult. Like there's more options, and it was just like there's stuff that really excites me, like that's kind of outside of the typical wheelhouse, but I couldn't ignore two big things,
No, X-Men 97 is a good get right there. Yeah. I hope it's another perfect encapsulation of 90s lifestyle like the original cartoon is.
Yeah.
Connor, what do you have on your radar for the summer?
So I got 3 picks. The first one is ongoing. Janelle, I think you missed it, but I'm actually rocking a Ted Lasso shirt as we speak.
Yes!
The season runs up through the end of this month, so I'm counting it. This show was originally made to only be 3 seasons. I know there's some debate about a season 4. This season has not hit me quite as hard as the previous 2 have, but I'm very curious to see if this was supposed to be the end, how was it going to end? So still keeping a close eye on that. As for new stuff, The Bear season 2 drops in June, I believe. That was one of those shows where critics would just talk about it constantly, especially on Twitter. But I didn't watch it until a bit later. I binged through the whole thing in one weekend when I was sick. And it's every bit as good as people say it is. If you didn't catch Jeremy Allen White when he was in Shameless, he's the star of this show, absolutely dominates it. And between this and what he's going to do in the Von Erich movie, The Iron Claw, this guy is going to be massive. And you probably want to buy in early and see what he's doing with this. If the opening scene of them playing the background music from New Noise by Refused, if that doesn't sell you, the show might not be for you. But for me, that sung to me just perfectly.
Oh no, there's been a lot written and said about the opening scene of The Bear,
and then there's the whole episode that's just one take. It's made to look like one take, but they have all the little directorial flourishes. You've got actors that are completely coming out of nowhere to steal the whole show. You've got very established people coming in out of nowhere for 1 or 2 scenes and stealing the whole damn thing. If you know, you know. And I cannot wait to see what they bring with season 2.
And the Graham saw it's like half the cast of Punishers in this show. So.
Exactly, especially one particular member of the Punisher.
Yep.
But the last but not least, I'm nothing if I'm not on brand. Starz officially announced we're getting Heels season 2 later this summer. I really enjoyed the first season. This is a Michael Waldron show. It's got Stephen Amell. It's based around a fictional small town pro wrestling promotion. It's got Alexander Ludwig from Vikings. First season was really solid. It felt like a show that had been in development forever because the script feels about 10 years old for various reasons. And the ending was kind of, okay, this was clearly written where we weren't going to resolve anything until we got a season 2. So now that we're getting one, I'm very curious to see where we're actually going with some of these characters. But yeah, so Heels, Ted Lasso, and The Bear.
All right. Thank you, Connor. So that is our TV picks. There are some other fun things coming out. We have things like Mayans MC's final season is coming out. And me and Turn Up Charlie Ridgely have been looking at that. That looks like it's going to be bananas, even more so than Sons of Anarchy. So I'm going to be checking that out. We also have the Continental is coming out this summer. The John Wick spinoff is happening. So keep an eye on that. I'm just looking over it, but I think we hit all the biggest ones that we need to mention. I'm pretty sure. Oh, Gremlins, Secrets of the Mogwai. Me and Matt have been talking about that. That's coming H2. Oh, I'm sorry, Max. They're so obnoxious with this.
The place to find HBO.
Yeah. The Arnold Schwarzenegger series, Fubar. We've had people out doing press and doing stuff for that, and we're hearing really good things about that. So keep that on your radar. iCarly's coming back, Matt. I'm just messing, but it is.
It is coming back, and it's coming back pretty soon, man.
I'm really interested to see what they did for this HBO thing that's caused controversy. The Idol, starring The Weeknd and Lily Depp Rose, has been freaking Hollywood out, starting beef with Rolling Stone. It's been just a behind the scenes on that has been great to see. Star Trek Strange New Worlds season 2 is coming back, which is going to be a nice kind of little boost to our summer. So looking for that. And I think that's about it. I'm just making sure so we cover all our things. But right. So that sounds like a good thing. We nailed some good summer picks for TV. If you guys are listening or you are watching live, please do go into the comments or hit us up on @ComicBook Nation Twitter and let us know, like, what are you guys hyped for this summer for movies, for TV? We love to get that feedback so we can talk to you guys when we get back up here and really also know what you guys want to hear us cover and stuff like that. So thank you. That's our summer movie and TV preview. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we are going to have a special guest from Comic Book Gaming to come on and review The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom to make sure if Connor's dreams came true or if he will be disappointed in gaming.
I could be playing it right now. Instead, I'm on this show.
I know. That's the way it goes. That's why I'm
in the studio.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. All right. So we'll be back in 1 second. This is Comic Book Nation. Look at that graphic.
Love it. It's sick.
Oh, man.
Is it good? Are we good?
Oh, God, what's happening?
It's just in your face a little bit. Oh, yeah, on the solo
Thank
shot.
you.
Yeah, it was a little bit.
Yeah, I was trying to get over my mic.
Like, sorry.
I'm like a little kid.
Sit up
at the
straight.
Kids table. Like, yeah. Welcome back to Comic Book Nation, Season 5, the only show that does it all for geek culture. We just broke down our most anticipated movies and TV shows that are coming at you in summer 2023. Now we are going to welcome on our special guest from Comic Book Gaming. Mr. Christian Hoffer is back with us this week, and he has had the esteemed, hopefully, pleasure of sitting down and playing The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, the highly anticipated new Zelda game for Nintendo Switch. Possibly the end of the Nintendo Switch 1 era. We don't know yet, but these are all things we need to talk to Christian and figure out. So, Christian, welcome to Comic Book Nation, or welcome back, rather.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
We are, we're just doing all right, man. We're just doing all right. Barely hanging in.
I'm excited to hear about this.
Barely hanging on. Barely getting out of the house. Barely getting into the studio. Like we're just hanging on.
That's so sweet. I don't feel like anyone ever asks us how we're doing.
No, they don't.
We bring anyone on. You're
just
so
like,
nice.
Get up here and talk, monkeys. All right, but Christian, you've had some time to kind of jump into the game. I'm sure you're still deep in it and playing through. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. I've been playing. I think I've put in somewhere between 40 and 50 hours into this game, and I really feel like I've barely scratched the surface.
Wow.
Wow. Okay, that's a good jumping off point.
Oh,
There are some big things that were teased for this particular Zelda game and Tears of the Kingdom. This is supposed to be kind of just to give people an overview who may not know. This is a Zelda game that builds on the last one, which is Breath of the Wild, which gave people a lot more kind of freedom to explore and interact in environment and how they wanted to progress through the quest and kind of do that. But this one is supposed to take that concept that people really enjoyed from the last game and take it up, exponentially up into terms of what you can do to interact, progress through this game, get through challenges, build, and all of that stuff. So is that all overwhelming, or does it play pretty well?
No, so the interesting thing about this game is that it really takes the open world and freedom from Breath of the Wild, but presents it in a little bit more of a structured sort of way. One of the biggest complaints about Breath of the Wild was that amazing game, like one of my favorite games of all time, but it doesn't really feel like a Zelda game. People had expectations about, some of the traditional stuff that just appears in every Zelda game. There's the dungeons, there's a bit more of a storyline, and, some of that is sacrificed in Breath of the Wild to, give, people the ability to do whatever they want. And so they figured out a way to retain the open world nature, the ability to literally do just about anything. Somehow they've expanded upon that. But they've framed it in such of a way that it feels so much more like a Zelda game. And so fans of the Zelda franchise are going to be pleased. It addresses some of the criticism about Breath of the Wild while still retaining everything that you loved about the first Breath of the Wild game.
That is good to hear, because I was one of those people, and this has been well documented on this show. I now feel old and stupid, but I'll share anyway. But I really didn't get into the first game simply because I was so unfamiliar with the dynamics of playing it as like a person who started out in '86 with the first gold Zelda cartridge and got used to those games all through the the platforms. When I hit this one, it's almost like I had an existential spin out and was like, I don't know, there's too much freedom, I don't know what to do, and I just got lost. After talking with you guys and gaming about this game, it actually made me go back and pick up the other one and start to be like, okay, I got my head around what to do now and what I can do. And now it's getting to be a little bit more fun. I'm finding these shrines. I'm getting what I need to do. I'm getting into it a little bit. So I have a lot riding on this. And it's good to hear that they're kind of making it Zelda, but also kind of truly making it this open world where you can play in and do things. Do you find are the mechanics? The thing I've been wondering a lot about are some of the things we've seen in these gameplay or trailer videos of what people can build and what they can make. Are all the mechanics of that kind of smooth and intuitive and easy to master, or challenge people?
So there's 3 new abilities in this game that kind of replace the abilities that you get at the onset of Breath of the Wild, and it's not really a spoiler because you get these in the tutorial portion of the game. So there's Ascend, which is basically an ability to spontaneously move vertically, into platforms that are above you. That's really just it's a function that comes in handy when you're exploring, but is kind of limited. There is the fuse ability, which basically answers how the big criticisms of Breath of the Wild. Everyone hated how the weapon system worked in that game. Not everyone, but a lot of people hated how the weapon system worked in that because your good weapons were always breaking. And so with this, they've kind of found a way of okay, you're going to get a bunch of generic weapons, but you can upgrade them using monster parts, using stuff you just find around with other weapons. You can just put a sword on top of another sword and then really go to town on people. And, there's a lot of creativity involved because some unexpected, weapon combos are just absolutely fantastic. You stick a mushroom on top of a stick and suddenly you're turning it into the home run bat from Super Smash Brothers Melee, where you're just sending, monsters flying 50 feet. It's fantastic. And, a big part of the joy of the game is figuring out what weirdo combinations just work really well. The big feature, the thing that everyone will be using 90% of the time, is the Ultra Hand feature, and basically that allows you to build whatever. Not only can you build vehicles using it, and it's kind of used in conjunction with these things called Zonai devices, which range from wheels to a control stick to, like, the gliding things, and there's a bunch of other even weirder things, and you kind of just merge them all together and create just whatever weirdo creations you want. And this game's only officially been out for, like, I don't know, like 13 hours, and the stuff that I've already seen on the internet is both amazing and a little horrifying.
Yeah, that's my segue to one of the other questions I had, which is, there's been a lot that's been speculated about, is this the end of this generation of Switch? And before we get into that big question, my small question was, how long are we going to be seeing this game on social media in videos, in memes, or just clips of the crazy stuff that people find out and like come up with?
Forever.
The 13 hours in, and it's already getting nuts out there, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, one of the things about Breath of the Wild is that to this day, people were finding new ways of doing stuff. Like, I saw somebody set up a way to do to basically do a kickflip on a shield that bounced back and hit 3 guardians spontaneously and killed them all. And it was just one of the most metal and cool things I've ever seen. And, that took them hours, probably months to figure out all the mechanics to it. And so, and that was with, features that aren't even as cool as, Ultra Hand. And the other one is the recall function. I totally forgot about that. You can actually rewind time and, do all sorts of weird stuff with that. So they've definitely opened it up. And, one of the funny things was, I've already seen, like I said, I've already seen just so many weird things, and it's been one day. So give people years, on their second or third playthroughs, and I'm almost terrified to see what they come up with.
Oh, man. My final question for you. Do you think, having played, I'm sure, a multitude of Zelda games, do you think this is going to end up ranking among the top classics?
So I have played every single Zelda game, and this one is so far my favorite. I have not, I enjoyed Breath of the Wild to the point that I played through it twice, but it wasn't my favorite Zelda game. But I think Tears of the Kingdom will, assuming that it's 6 landing, that's the thing. I'm 50 hours into this game, and I'm nowhere close to being done with it. So assuming that, the storyline, ends up in a fun way, I think it's going to overtake Majora's Mask as my favorite.
Wow. Okay. So there you go. No small terms for our review of this game. Anything else you want to add before you get out of here, Christian?
No, just that I can't wait to see what everyone thinks about this game. I have been sitting on this game for 2.5 weeks, and it has been so awful not getting to talk to people about it. So I'm just thrilled that it's out and that everyone is going to get to enjoy playing it. And I can't wait to see what sort of nonsense people get into with this game.
Man, I can't believe that I am over 35 years later still now sitting here and talking about Zelda, and Zelda still being shutting down summer. Awesome. So, all right, if you needed a summer game preview, there's one hell of a one. There's possibly the best Zelda game you'll ever play, coming to Switch, or now on Switch. Wow, I've been saying coming and preview and all this for so long, but it's here. So thank you, Christian, for coming on. That has been our review of The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, now available for Nintendo Switch. And I think it's safe to say we recommend you guys check that out and come up with something weird that we can enjoy. All right, moving right along. To close out the show, Matt and Connor, I believe you guys have some wrestling talk. But before we get to that, I just want to jump and rearrange a little bit. And just say, you guys, we are checking out also the TV show Silo, which is now on Apple TV Plus. And one also happens to be, in full disclosure, our first sellout endorsement that we've done for this show. So if you've heard me on
Really?
talking on radio, being like, "Hello, I'm Coviello, and this is about Silo, the new sci-fi series from Apple
Oh,
TV Plus."
wow.
Yeah, that's me. But
Congrats.
it's good that we get to do those kinds of things when we can actually enjoy the product, because I've been enjoying Silo. And if you don't know what it's about, it's this kind of dystopian sci-fi TV series that's about this dystopian future where the world has been either polluted or irradiated or something bad happened, and the remainder of humanity, our characters, are in a missile silo that has been converted into a living community, a la the Matrix. And it's about the mystery of what's happening, and when some people discover that maybe things are not what they seem, how it begins to unravel different people in this society and push them towards, maybe venturing out and finding out what's going on and investigating. And it has a crazy cast of people: David Aiello, Rashida Jones. Oh my God, I can't believe Rebecca Ferguson, who's also in Mission Impossible this summer. It's a really good cast, and I think there's 3 episodes out right now. And by the end of the 3rd episode, like, not only was I sucked into it, there's a shot at the end of the 3rd episode that made me hyperventilate, like, that I was just like, oh, I can't stand this. It has to do with water and caves, and I was like, I don't like either of those things.
Yeah.
And a large body of water and somebody just hanging over one, and I was
I
just
started the episode that they released today before I came in.
Yeah, I haven't started it
And
yet. I
it
caught up on
looks-
Citadel.
It like you're right there, right
Yeah.
where it ends. You're
Oh,
right.
good.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it creeps me out. But so that is Silo. But yeah, I've been enjoying it. And again, we're talking summer shows. This is a good Apple TV has really, it just sneaks in and quietly drops some good stuff on us. And this is another one. And it's not usually a whole bunch of fanfare you hear for these series and stuff, which is why you need us. So
Yep.
Check that out. Also, what you guys think?
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I've really been digging it. It's there's like just enough intrigue and action a little bit to just have you go, I've got to watch the next episode. Like, I can't just stop now. So I think that's really great in anything sci-fi. Like, you can't put it down. It's like reading a book. You have to keep turning the page. And yeah, I've been really enjoying it.
I had to watch the first 2 episodes and like by the end of the 2nd episode, I was hooked. Like, I was like, oh, okay, like it managed to really get its claws in. I'm a sucker for this kind of premise anyway. Like 10 Cloverfield Lane. Like, I love the what is outside. Is it real or not? Is that so? And there's revelations in 2 and 3 that like really push that, and I'm like, oh, okay, like I'm in. Like, I dig it. So yeah, I agree with you though. Apple TV kind of sneaks in, and there's been several shows on that platform that have really like become favorites of mine. So
yeah, between this and Foundation, Apple TV Plus is trying to get that sci-fi, trying to lock down that sci-fi block. Connor, do you have anything? I'm sorry, we couldn't hear you.
Still muted.
I think you're still muted, buddy. There he is.
If not for the fact that this is based off of a book, I would have been positive and said that this is secretly a Fallout show, and you're gonna get that reveal at the end.
Yeah.
But no, this looks incredible. I can't wait to take a look.
All right, so that's Silo, and like I said, they were kind enough to let us do an endorsement for the show, but that's not why we're doing it. Well, we just liked it, and I like that we actually hyped something that turned out to be really enjoyable. Woof, good. That's a sign of relief. So that's Silo on Apple TV Plus. Connor and Matt, you guys have some wrestling updates for us?
Yes, sir, we do. Matt, we've got something big coming next week, and it doesn't have anything to do with what's actually on TV. Warner Brothers Discovery has its upfront presentation next Wednesday at Madison Square Garden. And we're expecting some pretty big AEW updates with this one. Not only are we going to get confirmation of the worst kept secret in the industry right now, which is that AEW is launching a Saturday night show called AEW Collision. For folks who don't know, Saturday nights used to be prime time wrestling time slot. The 6:05 on, I believe it was TBS, was used for years by various promotions. And when WWE kind of came to prominence, that went away. It's coming back. This should be awesome. There's a lot of talk about how are we going to divide up the roster between Dynamite and Collision. Rampage is going to be taking a pretty significant step back on Friday nights. They got rid of their 2 YouTube series, Dark and Dark Elevation. CM Punk is going to play a pretty significant role in this show. And by all indication, I'm expecting him to be involved in the presentation somehow. He'll be featured, but I do not expect him to actually be at the upfront itself. I think they're going to save his return for an episode of Dynamite, but that's probably not going to be for a little bit. We are expecting his first match to be on the first episode. And apparently, according to rumors, that will be against Twisted Metal's very own Samoa Joe, which, if you know anything about their rivalry from about 20 years ago, that should be awesome. The other big rumor regarding the upfront is that we're also going to get confirmation on a new television deal with AEW. It's going to be, the figure that is being rumored is $1 billion for 5 years. Now, that's billion with a B, and that's awesome for the company. Now, that's not actually outlandish for Warner Brothers to throw out that kind of money, because when you look at how much time they're producing a week for television, it's still not quite what Fox is paying for just 2 hours of SmackDown each week.
Right.
It's close. But anytime a company other than WWE is landing $1 billion television deal,
big deal.
it's fantastic news for the industry. It's good for it. This is a case of rising tides lift all ships. This is going to be awesome. Matt, how do you feel about all of these rumors surrounding AEW right now and what we should probably expect next Wednesday?
I agree with you. It's like the worst kept secret, like across the board. Like,
they're not even trying. Tony just came on Dynamite this week and was like, "Hey, big news next week.
Yeah,
I can't tell you about it because NDAs."
Yeah, no. Here's the thing. I'm actually excited for this. I'm always up for more wrestling. And one of my biggest things with AEW is like all the talent that they have doesn't get featured. So having another now question, is this another 2-hour show or a 1-hour show?
From what I've heard, it's 2 hours.
Okay.
So it's
supposed to be what, so it's really trying to carve out what Rampage was supposed to be, because
in a way, Rampage will now kind of be seen as Sunday Night Heat, if you remember that from 90s and 2000s.
Which is really what it is now.
This will be the equivalent of Dynamite, and Collision will now be the Raw and SmackDown.
Okay.
How they divide up the rosters, how they determine who gets TV time, where and when. I feel like that's still TBD.
But I think that's so smart. Like, because as someone who appreciates the WWE draft and having two brands and making them distinct shows unto themselves, an individualized roster is a huge part of that. And AEW has the bench, has the talent to pull that off. So I think that's a win across the board. Like, I think they've needed this. They need more screen real estate. Yes, they lose Dark and Elevation, but like Rampage was becoming that anyway. I mean, it's a lot of storylines on Rampage are branching off from those two shows, and people were always like, well, if you'd been watching Darker Elevation, you would know what happened there. But it's like, right. Well, okay, but so that was kind of the problem. So I think this solves a lot. Obviously, CM Punk coming back is huge, and I think that's applause to if it actually happens, which I think is like a 99.9% thing that's happening. Yeah. Applause to people working stuff out, because come on, like that's just money on the table. Also, no one wanted to see Punk's ending here be that way.
Not that grumpy press conference. No,
like like that was a bad look, and I hope this kind of also proves some people wrong, because look, I mean, there is like reputations are reputations, right? So it's like, okay, you can't do this again. Mm-hmm. Like if this happens again, I'm like, dude, like you guys got to part ways. He's got to be done with wrestling, because it's just not a thing. But I'm excited for this across the board. I think it's great for AEW, and I think, like you said, I think it's great for wrestling across the board, because I mean, even just their Wembley stuff, right? Selling, was it 60,000 at this point?
I think we're creeping up to 70 at this point. Yeah.
So selling tickets to that without Punk, obviously Punk there's rumors of, Elite versus him and FTR, all that stuff aside. That's not on the card. That's not officially announced. So just tickets are based on the show that people are going to see. I think that's huge. So it's a really nice, it's been a roller coaster ride with AEW. Just like it has with WWE, but with AEW, a lot of it's been backstage stuff, and it's nice to see like a couple wins really kind of strike together. So
Yeah, if you
Good
ever
for them.
needed proof that these guys need another TV show, Miro popped up on this week's Dynamite after being off TV for 9 months. That guy can easily be one of the biggest stars in the industry if you just let him.
just put them on
So,
TV. Just
Now
put 'em
you
on
got
TV.
now you got some real estate for them. Perfect. So no, this is going to be exciting. AEW is shaping up for a massive summer, and it's actually a great opportunity for them to strike. Because I don't know if you've paid attention to this, Matt, but WWE does not have a stateside pay-per-view again until SummerSlam in August.
And that's something.
The home front has been left defenseless.
It's not a castle.
I
But that's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that. That's nuts. Yeah, WWE is very much on this international kick. But I mean, well, granted, we're talking about Wembley too. I mean, AEW is too, which is great. But I agree. I think this is but I just like that once this all is officially announced, I just hope they can ride this momentum and just keep moving forward. It's just been a lot of petty stuff in the background that has come to the forefront. And I just, miss the days when we were talking about, and this goes for WWE too, when there was a brief time there when we were just comparing show to show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh man, that'd be great to be back there. We weren't constantly going, hey, did Vince do this one or did Trips do this one? And we weren't talking about, oh my God, what person bit someone backstage. Like, we weren't talking about all that junk. We were just comparing wrestling show to wrestling show. And I want to get there again. So,
All right. That was a very dramatic wrestling segment.
Yes, it was.
Storming castles.
Wrestling is nothing if not drama, Cody.
It's true. It's very fitting.
hair
We
on
told
his
a
soul.
story, damn it.
Finish the story, Matthew.
We love your wrestling segments. We sit here and learn about wrestling from you guys. Just listening to the drama. All right, Matt, why don't you take us out? First, in our comics section, which is our last section of the day, we had some big news drop.
Oh,
this
yeah,
morning.
buddy.
What's going
Yeah.
on, Matt? Our
So,
buddy was apparently holding out on us when he came.
yeah. So, as we talked to Tom King in our previous interview, which you can check out on the Comic Book Nation YouTube channel, you can hear all about Wonder Woman's new creative team and new storyline that's coming up later this year. But as a precursor to that and setting the stage for that is Wonder Woman 800. And Wonder Woman 800 will have Tom King writing a story that will introduce Diana's daughter, Trinity. And now, obviously, details are very hazy. They don't want to give the farm away. But the design kicks. That's a great design. But this is obviously a future character, and we're going to get in the story in 800 is going to kind of set the stage for Trinity, and also surround everything of like, what is this world she's in now, and set the stage for her. Then in Tom King's full run, obviously it's going to take place before. So you're going to start to really see, I kind of like things like this when the foreshadowing a bit, right? How do we get there? How does Trinity, how does that become a reality?
Yeah,
There's all these
got
things.
a question. Is she a clay baby or who's the dad?
Who couldn't tell you.
We don't know.
Couldn't tell you, but
This is a good time and RIP to say Jerry.
wow.
R.I.P.
I'm kidding there. So yes, but that's exciting news. I love the design. Also, the Wonder Woman collective has been one of the most interesting places in the DC over the last couple of years. So I'm always excited to keep evolving that. I'm very excited for this upcoming run. So this is cool news. I'm
She got those Bruce Wayne brows. That's all I'm saying. She got Bruce Wayne brows.
No, jeez.
Just saying.
Bruce, you dog, you.
For our first book, we're gonna move on from there. For our first book, we're gonna keep in the DC side of things.
Saying got a Wonder Woman baby and a Catwoman baby and some Batman armor, and Batman's gonna have some problems. Like his greatest foe might be paternity suits,
Damien's gonna be mad.
Oh yeah, Damien's gonna be hella mad, man.
We broke Matt.
Green Lantern.
Okay.
Who's
All right, good deal.
Baby daddy.
Good deal. So we're gonna move to Green Lantern, and there's no segue. I have no segue from there. Green Lantern number 1. Obviously, people probably saw this coming out. We're like, oh yeah, that's gonna be an easy pick for the show, and you're right. It is. This is a brand new, completely brand new starting point for Hal Jordan and John Stewart, but it is a great launching point for those who have not been keeping up with their previous adventures. This brings Hal Jordan back to Earth, and he's been away a long time at this point. And so the idea that's kind of being played with is, when Earth is your home, but you haven't been there in a very long time, you don't really have like any kind of significant roots established. When you come back home, what is that home? Did you make the right decision? There's a lot of interstellar stuff at play with why he's there. Earth is now quarantined by the council, and so there's all these things kind of going on above. But for this is really just a story about how coming back, and Carol's moved on. He doesn't really have a house, so like he lives in a friend's trailer. He's got to find a job. Like these are all very kind of grounding, relatable things, and I think it did wonders for Hal, because I mean everyone knows Hal's not my favorite Lantern, Kyle for life. But what I will say is I think this brings out some of the best parts about Hal, some of the best parts about the character, his natural charisma and things, and kind of shines a light on like how someone would receive them. And so really the supporting cast will make or break this book moving forward. But I think they did a really good job of establishing what kind of how we're getting. And then there's a backup story that will continue on with John Stewart. And that story kind of brings off there was a lot of crazy stuff going on in the previous John Stewart series, but this again kind of grounds something to what his relationship with his mom. He's trying to also find his center. He's back home. And then you have all this nuts, far Guardians cosmic stuff going on the other side that'll come into play later. So I think it just does a really good job of balancing all of those things. So I dug it. I really enjoyed this. I hope we get to see more of the supporting cast develop, because I think that will be really important for the length of this book. But what did you guys think?
I thought it was an interesting, like, as somebody who really got into Green Lantern in the 90s during like the Emerald Twilight, where they took Hal Jordan on a ride and introduced Kyle and did all that, and I love that, and then got reinvested under Jeff Johns and Green Lantern Rebirth and all that. This is an interesting new starting point. It's always funny to see what people got to do after a Grant Morrison run, right? Every time there's been like a Grant Morrison run on a character, we're like, we got to go back to basics. Like Grant Morrison goes way out there into like space cop land and stuff like True Detective.
Which was really cool, but yeah, that stuff was nuts.
Yeah, it was. I've tried to read it because I love their work, and I try to read it wherever I can, but I was just like, oh my God, True Detective in space is getting me. But so this was an interesting kind of restart. And I think the thing of making Hal Jordan almost like an alien on Earth, it is kind of a funny dynamic, because he is this guy. He's very much like an all-American Earth guy, but he has been into this expansive life in space and all these experiences, and him coming home and trying to adjust in modern Earth in kind of being, like I said, a fish out of water, like an alien, is a funny dynamic to explore. I don't want to spoil things. I was tripped up by one element of this book, and it's a big one, which is the whole Green Lantern of it all, and which is kind of told to you in this weird out of order sequence. And so therefore I'm kind of a little bit, we talk about number ones and getting you firmly established. I'm not firmly established yet. I don't know the story here. Like, what is the deal with Green Lantern? Is there Green Lantern? Like, what's going on with that is something this book doesn't firmly answer. And so I was a little thrown by that, but like you said, I don't think that was the point. Getting back to the Hal and the John of it all, not the Green Lantern part of it all, was the main focus and point of this book. And they did a good job of making you reconnected, established with these two characters and why we like them. So that mission is done, I think. So it was pretty good, I think, I would say, for me. It was like a good B plus for me.
Janelle, what you think?
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with both of you. I obviously don't know these characters as well, so I do feel like it is really important that I get to know them, and especially how, like, getting to know, I just feel a lot closer to them, and I am curious to see where we go from here. I feel like you kind of like explained everything perfectly, and it wasn't my standout book. So it was just, yeah, it was cool. Like, I'm glad I put on some music. I enjoyed reading it, but I am excited to see more of the Green Lantern side of things now that I've kind of become more familiar with both of them.
Connor, did you get a chance to read these? I'm not sure.
This was the only one I managed to get to. I actually haven't touched Green Lantern since early in the Grant Morrison run, so I was just like, well, I know nothing about what's going on, and he's back on Earth. Neat. This John has always been my go-to Lantern just because of the animated series. So I've never really had a connection to Hal Jordan. I think the first comic I opened, he was still a bad guy at the time. So yeah. It's a bit over my head.
That. No, I get it. And it's, it's funny. That was actually that was like the main thing that brought my review down just a bit, was the fact that, like, if you haven't kept up with the last two Green Lantern series that didn't involve Hal, there is like stuff that you're like, okay, I don't understand why this is the case. Like the John Stewart series, the 2-part John Stewart series, and then the Green Lantern series that like had Joe and everything like that. There's so much that's dealt with there that kind of makes its way into this there's not that. So I agree. And then also the Hal Jordan Morrison run. But that run is, I almost like look at that as just like its own thing.
It's Morrison. You read it by itself and then never reference
we
it.
We got
again.
A volcano lantern. That's all I care. Volk rules. So moving to Extreme Venomverse #1. Now I put this on here because obviously they're gonna be launching a lot of Venomverse stuff coming up. I mean, look, we had Spider-Verse. They've toyed with the Venomverse stuff before, and now they're going to kind of move into a full style event. So this is kind of setting the stage for that. And this does what you probably assume from the cover and description. This does what you think it does. It introduces a couple different versions of Venom in alternate worlds and alternate origins and things like that. The first one, I think that there's like 3 stories in this, and the first story I think resonated probably the most with me, just because it's a very simple premise. It takes the whole, idea of when Peter, was able to separate himself from the symbiote in the original story. And obviously we all know things from there, like he gets to go back to being Spider-Man and Eddie Brock becomes Venom. But here, Peter, and we're going to get into spoilers, obviously, here Peter dies in that story. And so then, because of the things that the symbiote has learned from Peter, he's got this consciousness now, and he's understanding things, and so he still bonds with Eddie. So that part surprised me because we're like, oh, they didn't change that much. But as you go out through the story, I appreciated what it was kind of the things it was layering on, and honestly, I kind of just wanted to follow that character more throughout the rest and see what other things they could change and tweak. But then we get to other kind of small stories. This is going to be
not to interrupt you, but the subtle hint. Like the first one was the one where I was like, "Oh, I see what we're doing here." Like we're playing with these variants that have these qualities that our Venom doesn't have, and it's like,
And so, I just thought like the second one and the third one do some interesting things too. I think it's just like a lot of these, it's going to be hit and miss. You're gonna gravitate to some, and some you aren't. And so until we get to the full story where like these characters are probably going to be all brought together and things like that, it's going to be hard to kind of assess because it's going to be very subjective. So I mean, what did you guys think of this?
I think that for me, it was held together by the Anne character who we met in what was that thing that before King in Black?
Oh, story. It was the future storyline. I can't remember the name of it. But yes, I know what you're talking about.
But it was like a Venom. It was an alternate universe where Eddie Brock had died, and like Dylan had become the King in Black, and Anne was Agent Venom, and it was like a very different version of the Marvel heroes who were rebels and they were living underground.
That's an awesome story.
That version of Anne, Agent Venom, I really liked. So I hope we get her as a focal point in this, because whenever she showed up, it got more interesting for me. But I like the first story. Second story is a little crazy. The third story, I like the character, not necessarily the story was a little overwrought, but I liked the character of the kid. And I liked Venom with more of like a samurai bend to it. So the concept overall, like you said, is interesting. It's Spider-Verse for Venoms, which on paper could be very fun. So I'm invested to getting to the larger thing.
Janelle?
Yeah, I was a little confused.
It's okay. That's perfectly fine.
I found it like thrilling because a lot of the stories were very exciting and there was a lot of action, and I love the symbiote thing because it's just super interesting to me. But yeah, I was a little confused. And I would say it is also not my standout book this week, but we're getting to that.
That's a perfect segue, Janelle. So we got to Captain Marvel number 49. And I remember talking to you like right after I read this. I sent you a message. I was like, oh my God. So you got to read this. So I will go on and admit. What did you think?
Me? Oh
Yeah.
God. Emotional, stunning to look at. Familiarity, is that the, am I saying this word right? With like so many characters now that I thought I didn't really know very well, but because of reading this, I got to know them. Like it was just gorgeous, and just this was the book. Like this is the book this week. It is so awesome. You have sold me on Captain Marvel.
Man.
Amazing.
Music to the ears, man. I'm very sad. 50 is coming. The series will end, and then of course there's a new series relaunching with a different creative team. But I have sincerely enjoyed this, and what I have loved about it is that it does such a good job of pulling all these threads that we talk about with Carol for so long. Identity, Rogue having such a big part in kind of throwing Carol off base so many years ago, and like the repairing of their relationship over the course of this series, and coming to this point where like Rogue is really the person that brings her back and can be the person that takes some of the weight off. Like that whole sequence with her and them just talking when all this epic stuff is going on, but like the entire by the way, the X-Men rule in this book. If you haven't read, like if you're an X-Men fan and you haven't read this last Brood crossover, it's the X-Men are just awesome. Like everything you love about them is encapsulated in this book. And like when Cyclops comes and like the reinforcements come, there's so many great moments of Cyclops going, okay, well, this looks bad. He comes in with the team and like he just assesses everything. It's great. So I'm very interested. This actually felt like a finale. Like this very much felt like a finale. So I'm very curious as to what 50 will be, if this is what the penultimate issue was. But I love this.
I mean, some of the pilot, like the planet, like they're like she's
right.
Binary's coming back. Like
she better come back. Oh my God, I'm gonna lose it if she doesn't.
Yeah.
So that's Captain Marvel number 49. That's comics this week.
And that is our show for this week. Thank you guys for jumping in with us to Comic Book Nation. We are the only show that does it all for geek culture. And we went all over the place today, so we definitely earned our check. So thank you, everybody, thank you to the team for dropping your summer TV and movie picks. That was a great discussion. If you missed it, please go back and listen to that. There's some fun things coming this summer, and some of them you might not even expect. So go back and check out that discussion. If you're just now getting into the show, you can always follow us on Twitter at Comic Book Nation, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page at the YouTube at Comic Book Nation or at Comic Book Nation, because we put up awesome bonus content exclusively there. We have tons of interviews, trailers, exclusive clips, all kinds of fun spin-outs from our big discussions here. So be sure to subscribe to that. We're almost at 9,000. We need everybody's help. Get us to 9K by the end of this month. That'd be amazing. Calling on you guys. You can also follow us individually on Twitter. As you can see, if you're watching, I am at Kofi Outlaw.
I am at Janelle Wheeler.
I am at Matt Aguilar CB.
And I'm Connor Casey at CB. No S.
And this, as I said, was the calm before the storm, people. After this summer movie season is really kicking in. We got like Little Mermaid, Fast X, a whole bunch of stuff coming. Oh, we didn't even know this whole discussion, and none of us picked our most anticipated like comic book movie of the year. One of them, The Flash, is also
Someone mentioned that in the comments at one point of like no Flash, and I was like, oh yeah, no.
Wow. So this show has been for nothing. We screwed up. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Comic Book Nation, and we will try again next week. Peace.
Thanks, everybody.
Later.